Hello, Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode, the first issue, if you will, of I Know That Comic Book. I'm your host, Byron Dane Turner, and what I hope to do with this new YouTube series is talk about comic books. Now, I'm not going to be discussing comic books that came out last week, or talk about TV-based comic book series, or comic book movies. What I'm going to be doing is pretty much rewinding the clock back to Lord knows when. Could be 2 years ago, could be 30 years ago, could be 50 years ago. But what I'm going to do is discuss 3 random comics in each show, and hopefully, maybe it'll be a comic you already have in your collection. Maybe it'll be a comic you've never seen before. Maybe it'll be a comic you see and say, hey, I know that comic book. So what I thought it'd be fun to do for this first show today is, since it's all pretty still fresh in our minds, is take a look at the creation of the icon himself, Stan the Man Lee, who last week would have turned 96, the architect, the father of the Marvel Universe. Now, we're going to take a look at not his first creation, but the creation that he made out of frustration with Jack Kirby in 1961 that launched the Marvel Age of Comics. We're going to be looking at the first family of Marvel, the Fantastic Four. Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Girl, Human Torch, and The Thing. This is a comic book that launched all the other Marvel comics that we know. X-Men, Spider-Man, Hulk, goes on and on. The 3 issues I thought we would take a look at today are number 57, 186, and finally number 588. 3 very different comics from different time periods. So let's just kick back and have some fun with this.
The first issue we're going to look at is number 57 from 1966, written by Stan Lee, drawn by Jack Kirby and Joe Sinnott. Now, this issue is a little bit of rough shape. I give it's Overstreet Guide, probably a 3.0. If this book was in mint condition, it'd be worth about $200. But it's extra special to me. I got it signed by the man himself, Joltin' Joe Sinnott, right there. Now, here we go. Enter Dr. Doom. The story begins as 3 different story arcs, with Sandman and Wizard from the Frightful Four attempting to escape prison. Sandman makes it out, Wizard's not so lucky, so now Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, Invisible Girl have to hunt down the Sandman, which I love, is really interesting, because, well, first let's get to, look up there, isn't that the thing on a jet cycle? Well, it's not Mary Poppins. You know, gotta love that, just those little intricacies of dialogue. But now Sandman's very interesting to see Sandman in a different book because you associate him with being a Spider-Man villain. And so it's fun when you see other villains show up in other books. So now Sandman's escaping and he takes some of Reed's equipment with him. And now they have to figure out how they're going to track down Sandman for next issue. But I love this. You know, in the background is the Thing talking about, hey, keep it down. I'm watching the Marvel Superheroes commercial. I'm going to miss the whole thing. What is he talking about? Very next page, he's talking about the new cartoons that came out in '66 for the Marvel Superheroes Action Hour. And there they are. And there's your cheap plug from '66. And this is the second story arc. It's a very short one, only 2 or 3 pages, with the Human Torch, Lockjaw, and Wyatt Wingfoot. Now, who is Wyatt Wingfoot? He's on the cover. He's like the bodyguard / trainer of the Fantastic Four at the time. And this features all the other Inhumans. Black Bolt is out, and here's Maximus threatening to cause dissension. Oh, you don't know the secret why he stays silent. It's to entrap you all. And if you know anything about Black Bolt, you know that if he whispers to level a mountain. But here's the main crux of the comic right here. Silver Surfer's invitation to Castle Doom. He is summoned by Victor Von Doom to his castle because Von Doom, you know, wow, this is fascinating, Surfer. Tell me, why are you fit to lead? Enough about me, Doom says. I want to know about you and your power. So here, Surfer whips out a weapon out of nowhere with his power cosmic. Doom destroys it. It's like, wow, I've got to have this power. This is more power than I've ever seen in my life. So I got to trick this guy. And Silver's like, nope, takes it from him like that. Now this, Doom showed him around his factory, and I just love this. Jack Kirby, no one drew machines like Jack Kirby, and with Joe Sinnott inks, it's just so beautiful. Anything that Kirby does has his name all over it. No one drew machines like him. But now Doom has to convince Silver Surfer that he's actually a benevolent leader, and that he's worthy of this. But of course, it's all a trick, and Doom sneaks up behind Surfer and steals his power. And this features the infamous Kirby Crackle, which I don't know if somebody could write me in the comments, let me know. If anybody knows the first comic book that this Kirby Crackle appeared, what the Crackle is, it's these little black dots that surround, that show like power and fire and cosmic energy that Kirby invented. And here he is, Doom, flying away on the surfboard with all of the power cosmic. And if this looks familiar, this is very reminiscent. They borrowed a piece of this story for the 2007 Fantastic Four sequel, Rise of the Silver Surfer, where in that movie, Silver Surfer's captured with the help of Doom and the government, and then Doom steals the surfboard and has all the power cosmic because in the movie it's locked in the surfboard. But I digress. Favorite part of this book is probably Doom trying to convince a surfer that he's really a nice guy. I love this. I'm the gentlest, most unambitious of monarchs. I've been told that my subjects dance in the streets at the mere mention of my name. I'm about peace and love, peace and love. But then one of his servants bumps into him, and then he's like, "Oh, you clumsy dolt! I ought to kill you! Do you dare lay a hand upon the sacrosanct person of your lord and master?" And this guy knows he's about to die, but then Doom's like, "Oh crap, Surfer's behind me, that's right, I gotta be a nice guy. Oh, it's just an accident, poor man, don't worry about it at all. Now go, my subject, and we will speak of this no more." "You mean you're not gonna kill me? Oh, gracious king, thank you." This part is my favorite. "Poor fellow, so dependent upon his liege, so trusting, so innocent. It is not a simple matter to be a worthy monarch, to rule with justice and with love. But I try. No matter the long hours, the sleepless nights, my duty is to serve." My favorite overall piece of text from this book, though, this is, and read along with me. You want to read this in Stan Lee's voice, because it's got Stan Lee written all over it. Alrighty. "At this point, O true believer, we ask your tolerance for the Silver Surfer. How can he, an alien castaway from endless space, be expected to know that he is putting himself in the hands of the most deadly, the most dangerous, the most utterly demonic villain on the face of the earth?" You just love that classic Stan writing. Now, I don't know if that word is demonic or demoniac or demon maniac, but, you know, hey, only Stan. So there's my summary of issue 57. Now let's move on. Moving on to our next issue, number 186 from 1977, written by Len Wein, drawn by George Perez and Joe Sinnott. Okay, so it's no accident that I picked this issue. This holds a soft spot for me because this was the very first comic book that I remember owning as a child. And, of course, as you could see, it's in really rough shape. But it was another one I was very lucky to have signed and personalized by the inker of the issue, Jolton Joe Sinnott, once again. If you get a chance, go and meet Joe Sinnott. He's usually at the Albany comic shows. Hell of a guy. Okay, here we go. Enter Salem 7. We start with the FF in a dungeon with Agatha Harkness holding their son Franklin Richards. And why are they there? There's a brief explanation as to why they're there. They're in New Salem, Colorado. And here we have the villain of the tale, Nicholas Scratch. That's right, the name of the main villain is Nicholas Scratch. And he has come to announce that they are here to execute Agatha Harkness for no other reason but for leaving New Salem. Now, Agatha Harkness, a very interesting character. She's the governess, or have you, the nanny of Franklin Richards. She's also a centuries-old witch. And so Nicholas Scratch, and to make sure you all don't interfere, we're going to take Franklin Richards from you. They live in a society in New Salem. They all have supernatural powers, it seems. So now here we have a brief moment with the Impossible Man, who can do anything that's impossible, turn into anything impossible. He's impossible. He's kind of like Marvel's version of Mr. Mxyzptlk almost. Anyway, here's a good glimpse of New Salem, Colorado. And the Fantastic Four, here we're going to try and break out of this jail, leave it to the Invisible Girl to save the day. And I love the artwork depicted in there. And now they're going to get out. Oh, who are you people? Oh, this is going to be easy. We can get by. Here are the main villains. The Salem Seven in their first of, I think, 2 appearances ever in the comic books. Here we have Bruticus. And then we're introduced to Hydron, Thorn, Vacuum, and Gazelle, and Reptilia. And as we go through these great action sequences, and finally, Vertigo. And now the only way it seems that they can defeat Salem 7 is the only way that the Salem 7 get their powers is only to interact the supernatural powers of the FF. So, Reed uses artificial hands, boom! It's almost like the spell is broken. So now they get out just in time to save Agatha Harkness from execution. Nicholas Scratch getting his, and now the citizens of New Salem turn on Nicholas Scratch, and they execute him. And Agatha Harkness is mourning. Franklin Richards is back. Everyone's happy except Agatha is like, why are you mourning them, Agatha? Well, it turns out Nicholas Scratch was her very son. Who knew? So, favorite pieces of artwork in this have to be any grouping probably by George Perez. George Perez is an amazing artist. He does group action and just big groups of people like no one else. He's probably best known for doing New Teen Titans and Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I love this 4-panel shot of Susan Richards doing her thing. Now, favorite line of dialogue? There really isn't much in this book. Everybody's kind of in panic mode. We've got to rescue Franklin. We've got to rescue Agatha. Doesn't leave a lot of room for their personalities to really pop, except for one guy whose personality always pops. Because, honestly, it's probably kind of easy to write. And that's, the Jackie Gleason of the FF. Lady, I wouldn't even call you late for dinner. The ever-loving blue-eyed thing's just itching for action. What a revolting development this is. Well, in that case, Cuddles, guess what time it is? Now, if we don't, we're robbed of that in this issue. But if you know the thing, you know what he's going to say? You know what time it is? It's clobbering time! And that finishes up my summary of this issue. Near mint overstreet value for this issue. It's around $10 in near mint condition. This condition, probably worth $1. But to me, it's priceless. And just one other note about this issue here. About any of the FF issues. It's about Joe Sinnott, really. He has probably worked on more issues of the Fantastic Four than any other artist in the history of the film. I know for a fact he has worked on over 250 issues of Fantastic Four that he has inked. So it's definitely worth being recognized. And the man is a hell of an artist, hell of a talent. All right, moving on. The last issue we're going to look at today is number 588 from 2011, written by Jonathan Hickman, with art by Nick Dracata, Mark Brooks, and Paul Mounts. Okay, this is considered the final issue of the Fantastic Four, and the reason is because they're no longer the Fantastic Four. A Human Torch, Johnny Storm, has died. In the story arc previous to this, there was a full-out attack coming from the Negative Zone and Annihilus. Johnny Storm basically locked himself inside the Negative Zone and was overwhelmed and killed. And the Thing had a bit of a cure where he wasn't the Thing, and by the time the door shut, he became the Thing, but it was too late. Johnny was trapped and was killed. Now here are the Avengers coming too late. Everybody's getting the news. Susan Richards gets the news. It's her brother is dead. She's cutting herself off from everyone. Reed, kind of grieving in his own way. Reed kind of goes to an extreme. He goes back to the doorway to the Negative Zone, and he has with him a weapon called the Ultimate Nullifier, which was given to him by the Watcher back in the 60s to use against Galactus, and it basically has the power to wipe out everything. And there's Annihilus don't know exactly what he's doing here because there's no dialogue, but clearly showing off Johnny's shirt. Johnny's dead. Fun fact about Annihilus, his first appearance was also Fantastic Four Annual number 6 with Franklin Richards. So, Reed closes the door. He's back to grieving. Here is the funeral with all the different heroes. There's Submariner. Thing wants nothing to do with anybody. Then there's like another little side story where someone else becomes the new Monarch of Latveria. Doom attends the funeral. Here's more of the funeral. And then this part I really like, which goes into a different story arc. Spidey checking on Franklin. And now we have the Future Foundation kids. This is Valeria, Franklin's little sister. They have their own agenda. You know, who's going to take the place of Johnny and the Fantastic Four? Nope, we have a new to-do list. Kill Annihilus. You know, hell hath no fury like little children with powers scorned. Okay, and here's Reed Richards. No more time to mourn. There are all these threat levels to the world. Talk about a feeling of being overwhelmed. And then here comes his father from whatever time-traveling rigmarole he's been going on. But this is the second part of the story. Back to Peter Parker. And I love this. Peter Parker checking on Franklin Richards, because who better to relate to than Spider-Man about having just lost an uncle? So, you know, he takes him for a swing around the city and, you know, hey, let me buy you a hot dog. And, oh, forgot I'm broke. Can I borrow $1, Franklin? Love little stuff like that. My favorite parts of dialogue are probably from this part of the story, where he's like, can I tell you a secret, Spider-Man? I think I could have saved Johnny from being killed. And he's like, well, can I tell you a secret, Franklin? I know I could have stopped my uncle from being killed. And he's like, really? Well, then why didn't you? And he's like, well, look, basically I was young and stupid. I didn't realize with great power comes great responsibility. Okay, he doesn't say that, but, you know, that's, you know, what Uncle Ben would say. And it's like, Spider-Man, what was your uncle's name? And this is my favorite shot right here. This drawing is just beautiful. The two uncles in the sky. Uncle Ben, Johnny Storm, Franklin Richards, Spider-Man flying away. It's a really, really touching last issue, if you will. But the FF story doesn't end there. It begins, the next issue is FF number 1, which can basically stand for Future Foundation or First Family. It was in Johnny Storm's will that Peter Parker take his place on the team. So Spider-Man's now part of the team. But this is the part, this was in the middle of, I skipped this. This was in the middle of the book. The one guy that's feeling all the guilt in the world for what happened, Ben Grimm, flies out to the middle of the desert. No one there but Bruce Banner and Donald Blake. And they are just there to let him let off steam, to pound the crap out of each other, millions of miles away from, or hundreds of miles away from where anyone could get hurt. And I dare you, if you really want to get hurt in the fields, read this part of, go buy this book, and go read this part of the book while listening to Adam Lambert's version of Mad World. That it just really hits every emotional nerve. He's just wailing. Hulk wails him back. And he's going to throw the Fantastic Car at the Hulk. And Thor's like, wait, like Hulk's like, whoa, stop. Just let him do, and just lets him punch him till he's got nothing left. And they're all left grieving for a Human Torch. Pretty powerful story with some great artwork.
All right, hey everybody, I want to say thank you for joining me today and taking a look at these great books. If this comes across as choppy, I apologize. This is a work in progress. It's only the first issue. Going to get some more friends on board. Next few shows, I'm going to have some friends, some special guests on to discuss the comic books with me. Be a little bit more of a table format. So I hope you look at the next one. And if you like this, leave a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, leave a thumbs down. Leave a comment. You could say, hey, Byron, I remember that book. Or, Byron, you were wrong about that. Or you could say, Byron, 1998 called. They want their shiny shirt back. Say whatever you want. It's all good. It's a free world. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate it greatly. And I hope I'll see you in the next issue. And once again, Happy New Year. And see you at the comic shop.